podcast episode 43, February 19th, 10 a.m. We're doing the second part of yesterday's because it was so long. We went an hour and 42 minutes yesterday. So we'll continue right where we left off. Been lurking around watching most of the videos on YouTube, videos on Facebook. I plan on getting an EDC belt and some swag eventually when I can afford it. Just wanted to chime in and say you got another supporter. Right on, thank you. Save your money, man. Like, for real, if you don't have an actual need, like if you didn't wake up this morning and go, shit, I can't do this thing today because I don't have that SOE thing. Like, for real, save your money. Money makes money. Like, hold your money up. Do business with us in a year. Once you come back and you're like, hey man, I started this side thing, or I've got this other thing going on, or I have $10,000 in the bank, that's my new zero, so now I have $10,100, so I'm going to give you 50 of that 100. Save your money, man. Right? No? Or just give us your $100 every month that you have and don't ever have 10 grand.
Yeah, buy the belt.
Buy the belt. You know, and actually it releases endorphins. Shopping makes you happy.
And it'll make your pants fit better.
And you never know. Like, chicks might look at your ass will look better. Chicks are like, hey, here's $100. Go get another one of those SOE belts.
It's possible.
Then you could be a man whore. Everyone knows the pyramids in Antarctica is where the predators go to fight aliens. Everything in the movies is fact. I actually liked that movie. There is a acoustic expert that put a video on YouTube, and with program on it, where do you think this is going? On his computer, proved there was more than one shooter.
No, sorry, there wasn't more than one shooter. Your acoustic expert doesn't understand echoes, and there was not more than one shooter. I can create multiple shooters simply by what I'm shooting past. The multiple shooter scenario, and the reason why you hear two different background noises is because, one, he moves from one room to another room, which is over 50 yards between the two shooting positions, and two, what you hear in the background is he is actually shooting inside the hotel at the police officers. What you probably don't know when we're talking about this is he fired well over 140 rounds through the walls inside the hotel. So when you hear the crack, crack, crack of people recording outside, and then you also hear boom, 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 it's because he's turned around and he's shooting at the officers within inside the building. So I can fool you. Get your acoustic expert, and I guarantee you, in about 2 shots, I can make him think I'm somewhere I'm not. It's just because of how things echo off stuff. So, and I'll just give you an example. If I am 100 yards, up there on the hill, and the telephone pole is right here, 100 yards away from me, and I'm shooting at a target 100 yards away, what happens is all your bullet has to do is move past that object, and when it moves past that object, it cracks at that object. So anyone, to include your fucking acoustic sensor stuff, is going to cue onto the telephone pole instead of where the actual shooting is from because of the crack when it passes that object. The Army spent
their little radar dish.
Yeah, they spent
anti-sniper thing.
They spent a bunch of money in the 90s on this acoustic sniper finding thing, which, if it's just a direct shot, so meaning if I go out and stand in the street and I shoot at the UN patrol that is using this acoustic device, then yes, that acoustic device will find the location of the shooter
and put bullets there.
Yeah, it's actually attached to a 50 caliber machine gun. But being that I know how that system works, you can beat that system all day long, and there's nothing they can do about it. They'll be shooting telephone poles and corners of buildings, and you won't even be there. So, acoustic expert is not a acoustic expert. Guaranteed doesn't know anything about shooting guns. As a matter of fact, when they initially made that system, they had to come out and shoot every single weapon system in the inventory to get the signature of that weapon. So I get it. People think they're more knowledgeable about things than they really are, and you really want there to be a fucking dude in another building shooting, but it's not. It's just him all alone, shooting up the cops, shooting up the people downtown. The question that you should be asking yourself is why she wasn't arrested, and why they allowed $100,000 to go to the Philippines unchecked, and who received that money. You're not following. Everybody's so busy looking at casings and which window he shot out of. Nobody's actually looking at anything that has to do with the peripheral of all that. That's where the real story is. The real story is what he was doing the week prior to this shooting, and what happened the week after this shooting. There's where the real story is, because money exchanged hands. The government has already said money is exchanged hands. Where did it come from?
And why?
Yeah. So that's my thing.
Did you guys ever shoot against the sniper finder?
Yeah. That's how I know.
The sniper finder.
That's how I know you can beat it.
Could it differentiate between our weapons and?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It has to identify all. Yeah. So we shot all the weapon systems. That way, it could identify. So if it was 5.56. It could identify whether that was friend or foe, and all that bullshit.
Don't dump rounds there.
Yeah, don't dump rounds there.
You guys beat that fucking thing fast as you guys beat thermal right away too.
Yeah.
A bed sheet, corrugated fucking cardboard.
Yeah, cardboard.
Fog. I'm sure it's gotten better now.
It has, but thermal. As long as you can control the temperature of the thing in front of you. So if it's the ambient temperature, then you can defeat thermal.
Native Americans gave Europe syphilis. Not exactly. They found there's a bunch of monasteries where they found all these skeletons beneath the foundation, down underneath the floorboards and shit. So they started digging these up. And when they started examining all these skulls were hundreds and hundreds of years older than the time when they came to North America. And what they found is that these skulls had syphilis. Syphilis was there long before anybody ever stepped foot on North America to meet Native Americans. And the syphilis was there fucking hundreds, if not 1,000 years before that. And for you guys that don't know, syphilis makes weird fucking... looks like little bugs burrowed through the calcium of the skull in places. And those skulls...
That's why your nose falls off.
What's that?
That's why your nose falls off.
From syphilis? It's actually... Because your nose is actually cartilage. It actually eats it off. But, Grant, look into that a little further, because there's some information that came out. I want to say it came out in 2006 or 7. That says that what we've thought all along is actually bullshit. Native Americans, and we always heard that Europeans gave the Native Americans, or maybe it was vice versa. But that's not exactly what you're saying here. Is not what the new information says. Those are not. And if you're like an expert and this is your field, man, we'd love to fucking talk to you. I would love to learn from you. Those are not freeze plugs. They are covers to holes created during the casting process. Iced tea, yes. Great LPs, yes. Agreed, it probably does make us a target. There is no other company like SOE. You guys are genius. I'm sure there is. We just have your focus. Like, I'm always amazed when I find somebody just through social media, or I get tagged in something where a dude has tagged another company as well. That I find other companies doing stuff, not necessarily like in our genre, but I find companies and I'm like, oh man, these guys are awesome. And you come to find out, like, they've been around fucking a decade or 20 years. Like, dudes find out about us every day. They're like, man, I wish I knew about you when I was in, or, man, this is awesome that you guys just started this business. Like, we've been doing this for 30 years. We just weren't really good at telling people we were doing it. And there's a lot of companies like that.
Yeah, but 30 years. The technology has changed.
100%.
That's why people know us, is because of the technology. It's not like,
and really, if
30 years ago you could have been on the phone calling everybody up going, hey man, have you heard about SOE?
And if
we probably could have got people to go door to door though.
Yeah, like Mormons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And really, when you think about it, most
SOE?
of you, not all of you, but a lot of you guys, you know about us from people that were mad at us for something. And most of the dudes mad at us had no actual live interaction with us. They were typically dudes that would grab onto something, mob mentality out of a forum, and just fucking run with that. And so many of you guys know about us, and we grew and were able to do the things we've done over the last, decade, even 5 years, because of those dudes having such a fucking fucked up, miserable life, and so just nothing in their life fucking worse shit to them, that they spent all their time trying to damage us like it was their mission. And luckily, we went out and told, some of that shit they were saying was true. We put it out there ourselves, and most of the stuff they're running around with, they're regurgitating shit we put out there. Like we put the ammunition out there so they couldn't use it against us, and they didn't realize, and it backfired. And I mean, comment in the next video when you see this. Comment how many of you guys actually found out about us from a shit talker. And also, when you guys comment, don't just like answer my question. You have to like comment in a whole topic with 2 or 3 sentences, because we don't know at that point. We don't know what you're answering.
Yeah.
What is crazy about the situation is they were unable to find a motive. All the information they have, and they could find one reason for why he did it. Makes you wonder. Well, it's kind of along what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just the truth about it is, it's the lone shooter aspect of it is, if somebody really wants to do harm, where is the information coming from that you get on what were their motivations? A lot of it now is social media. That's the first thing they looked at. He's an older guy. He was in his 60s.
Trump hater.
Yeah, he was in his 60s.
Hillary Clinton fucking lover.
He was a big gambler. So his social media presence is not there enough where somebody could go, oh, this is why he did it. He hated his 3rd grade teacher. That's why he did it. It's not, a lot of times it's not just that cut and dry where you're going to find out why the person did what he did. There is one person that knows why he did what he did, but she currently is in the Philippines spending that $100,000. So we'll never find out.
Yeah, that pisses me off. Back in the mid-90s, you could walk into any decent gun store and pick up an SKS for $200. They would normally be in a wood crate with about 15 others. Was it 15 others? I thought it was 10 or 12 per crate. I'm sure there was different crates too.
I just saw Russian SKSs are now considered CNR, so they're on the curio and relic list, and they're going for like $500. Which nowadays is kind of cheap, but it's funny that the SKS is now on the Curio and Relic list.
When they were $69.
Yeah, there are some. As a matter of fact, there are some AR-15s that are Curio Relics now. So if you get first run SP1s, Colt SP1s and shit, those are Curios. They're not fucking regular firearms anymore. They're considered Curio Relics.
The pyramids in the UK, some thieving cunt nicked the stone and sold it on, I don't know where, I didn't get that other piece.
Sold it on eBay probably?
Baby combat do. Liberty Chick says. Dora as a guest speaker, more Dora in podcasts and videos would be awesome. John, any knowledge on prepping food, freeze dried or whatnot? Baby combat cock do. Baby size cock would be legit. You're not going to see a baby size combat cock. It literally takes 3 times longer to build it, and the opening is not such that we can actually fucking turn it. So it has to be sewn by hand. You're just not going to see it. There's a few of them floating around that have BBs and shit inside them. But you're not going to see us build one. Like, we have literally fucked with that for over a decade.
Come here when you have some free time. Come here, and I'll have you turn 15 cocks.
Normal ones.
Just normal ones, and see how well you're going to like something that's even smaller. It is a fucking pain in the ass to make cocks, actually.
Knowledge on prep food. We've talked about that a lot of times, man. There is so much knowledge out there, too, at this point. The first thing, like, if you're just starting, just buy shit you buy. Like, if you're eating out of canned food, just double that up. When you go buy 2 things of green beans, buy 4. And, go that route. Your protein, your cheapest protein you can buy is going to be in a can. It's only going to last 4 or 5 years. With that said, though, I mean, we had some food that was 10 years out of expiration date. When you opened it up, it didn't smell bad.
If it's canned right,
and if it's stored right,
if it's canned right, it'll be good for a long time.
And I'm not talking about canning like home canning. I'm talking about canned,
like fucking
canned
Rosarita
chicken,
refries.
canned tuna, Rosarita refries, stuff like that.
If it's canned right, it'll last a long time. But the big thing, if you're going to do that, is just make sure you have a plan to rotate. Because let's say let's say your thing is Rosarita refried beans, and you buy a case of them. Just make sure that you are diligent enough to rotate them. If you rotate the food, if you use the food and rotate the food, then you will never have a problem with your food. That's the key, is to buy stuff, like John said, buy stuff that you're going to eat normally. Just make sure that you have extra. You know, the good, like, I knew people in California that would do this. They would go they'd go to Costco and buy a year's worth of green beans. And then all year they would never, whatever it was, wasn't just green beans, but they'd buy all their canned food at one fucking pop. Boom. They would buy it. And then maybe at the 6-month mark, they would replenish it. So while it would cost, you $500 to go do that initial push, after that, you're just adding a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. So you always have, let's say you always have 24 cans of Rosarita refries at the house. Now you're just buying onesies and twosies. And if you rotate them, if you make sure you're always, going from fucking oldest to newest, you'll never have a problem with your fucking stored food. That means when, the fucking zombies come or AOC comes to take all your money because she fucking pushed Amazon out of New York City, you'll be fine because you'll have enough food.
Who's AOC?
That's that Ocasio communist of New York City.
Roscoe or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we don't eat out of cans. I'm looking at a bunch of canned food right here. We don't eat any of this shit. But it's very fucking temperature stable. It's not hot. It's not cold. If we have to use this shit, we'll use it as an expander to throw some other stuff in. But that's the least expensive way to do that. Now I was spending $1,500, $2,000 every couple weeks when we first moved to Tennessee, just buying canned meat, canned protein. We didn't eat hardly any of that. Like, fast forward, 8 years, we threw most of that shit away. Yeah, we could have given it to a homeless shelter, done something with it, but it just, next weekend, and it just never fucking happened. We ended up feeding it to all the animals, over a period of 6 months, well, almost a year. Now, I've got Provident Pantry, canned, dried, dehydrated meats, and Mountain House and stuff like that. Emergency Essentials is where I buy that stuff. If you get on their group purchase thing, they'll send you a pamphlet once a month. And if you buy case quantities, you'll get, a pretty good discount. So that's how we bought most of this shit. It's just canned. And they claim a 10-year, but I mean, I personally opened some fucking 35, 40-year-old canned seeds and stuff like that probably 5-6 years ago, and that shit was fucking as good as the day it had fucking been canned. And that shit was sitting out in a shed with no heat or air through the seasons for God knows how long, and those cans had surface rust all over them. We opened that shit up, that stuff wasn't fucking oxidized. I mean, it looked like the fucking day they put it in there. So if you take care of that shit, it'll last indefinitely until the can gets a breach. And then the other thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration, like we did a lot of Top Ramen and stuff, just because it's an expander. You don't realize that shit just melts down. It'll look perfect on the shelf. When we opened it up, it had like literally just fucking disintegrated itself and had fucking bugs in all of it. The other thing too is how you store the stuff. Your biggest thing is going to be keeping rodents out of it, and then keeping it. Man, you can store this stuff indefinitely if you can keep moisture and temperature stable from it. A lot of guys are like, I'll put it in a shipping container. I'll tell you, we have a shipping container outside. It fucking, just from temperature fluctuation, everything inside is wet in there. We could not keep any fucking food in there and have it, last any kind of length.
It was cup of soup too.
Cup of soups and Top Ramens.
Top Ramens.
I commented about how we decide what we do based on on how hard it is and about interfering with Latin America. Thank you for answering both. I agree with both your answers you've given. I'm guessing he's talking about...
Don't go to Latin America. Well, we won't. We won't send any... We definitely... Here's the thing. They might send some Army Special Forces ninjas down there.
Maybe a couple. They were already there.
No, they weren't. They didn't do it. Maybe a couple CIA James Bond guys, in suits, driving expensive cars and shit. Those guys are the ones that were down there. We may do something like that because the Special Forces guys just build schools. So
right. It would have been SEALs if we needed somebody killed.
We may do that, but they will never send the Marine Corps down to Venezuela. The beaches are too nice and the women are too hot. So there's no way that whole battalion would be married within a week. It would be just pure debaucherism. So the Marine Corps is definitely not going down there.
Love the podcast. And do you guys know about the toxic landfill in Camden? Even more important, have you ever seen a UFO? What we need to ask you is which toxic
landfill
in Camden? Because we have a few of them.
They have a few of them. They have, what was the one that just...
An aluminum dross plant. So nowhere in the European Union can they dump aluminum dross.
They can in Camden, though.
But Camden will take all of it. And people didn't even realize it had happened until it happened. And then the owner, people showed up to work. See, it has to be constantly maintained. When water gets on it, I believe, kind of like magnesium, right? There's a problem with it. When water gets on it, when it gets wet, it releases chlorine gas. I believe that's what it is. It releases a few toxic things, which waft right over to where a shitload of people live. You can smell it from the houses just on the other side of the hill. So people showed up to work and the gates were locked and their checks had bounced and the news crews got involved and this dude didn't have any fucking permitting. He didn't have the right permitting to even be running, I guess. And he definitely didn't have the EPA's blessing to shut this down. So it's shut down. There is no maintenance on it. And now another fucking company has had to come in and take care of this, I believe is how that whole conversation goes. Yeah, it's a fucking problem. I mean, we've always got something toxic here. Fucking Nashville paid to have their city dump built here in Camden. And how nice of them. I mean, we get to use the dump for free. Only for 30 years, which I think lasts like 10 more years at this point. But all the trash coming out of Nashville, it comes to Camden here.
Yeah.
So if you got some toxic waste or some fucking poisonous shit, just send it on over here. We'll take it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's corruption. It's corruption at a local level is what it is.
Yeah, there's somebody was getting paid for that dross plant. Guaranteed when the dross plant was put in here in Camden, it did not come up for a vote, which means... Figure out who the richest man in town is, and I guarantee you that's how that fucking dross plant got put in.
I don't think it, because people will say Ray Smith. I don't know if that's it. Ray Smith owns a lot of property.
That doesn't mean he's the richest guy. I would assume that the richest guy doesn't live in Nashville anymore.
You mean
or in Camden anymore.
So I saw somebody saying something about, somebody had asked, hey, this restaurant's opening back up. Who owns that property or whatever? And I saw somebody comment, probably Ray Smith. He's hoarding it with the rest of our money. And I almost commented, How much of your money does Ray Smith have? Like, I don't know Ray Smith. This isn't my fight. But people say shit like that about us. So, like, how much does Ray Smith even know you? Like, do you rent a house from Ray Smith? Is that how Ray Smith has some of your money? Are you Ray Smith's relative? Like, does he's spending your inheritance? Maybe you should have fucking worked a little harder rather than complaining on Facebook. Like, I just didn't... I almost broke my rule of don't comment on people's shit that doesn't involve me. But... Like, it just irritates the fuck out of me. Like, you little cunt fucking sitting there complaining. Why don't you go work a little fucking harder and get off fucking Facebook hoarding more of our money? How much of your money does Ray Smith really fucking have? Does he have some of mine? Maybe someplace I paid some money that got paid back to him somehow through some property rentals or leases or something. But
that just means he's got a good hustle.
Yeah. Fucking fuck you. Because when he dies... His kids have already said, and I don't know any of his kids, but his kids have already said, as soon as he dies and we inherit, we're selling all that property. Yeah, and what are you going to do? Nothing. Generational money. He made all the money. Yeah. The grandkids are going to fucking waste all the money, and then they'll just be having menial jobs. Like, I don't know, maybe his kids own businesses and shit, but you only hear about him. You don't hear dick about fucking how his kids are fine. And anytime you hear somebody talk about him, it's always somebody talking shit. Fucking jealousy is a motherfucker, especially in little ass towns where people aren't doing fucking anything. That's why, we stay to ourselves. Like, the people in this town we deal with, most of them, they moved here from another town or another state. Fellas, we're not all fucking idiots. William Shelton. I know shit put on the internet stays on the internet. I was just making... Oh, it sounds like you got your pussy a little bit hurt. You guys got to keep in mind, when we fucking comment to you guys, it's not always for you guys. It is for the other 5,000 people that are fucking going to watch this. Anything on the internet, of course, stays on the fucking internet. You want to read it?
No, I was just...
I know shit put on the internet stays on the internet. I was just making a statement. I'm fed up with Facebook, Instagram, and cable or satellite. Well, I am not headed in any direction other than spending less time in the internet. Also, John, you made the statement, if I'm not on Facebook, I'm not buying shit from you. So your website, that is my favorites bar on my Google account, should be deleted. Then is what you're telling... Hey, fuck off, first of all. Like, for real. Grow the fuck up. The point was, once again, not for you. We have dudes that want to do business with us. Colt Firearms, Barrett Rifles Manufacturing. They wanted to do business with us. Other fucking companies. Those are just two that you would know. They want to do business with us and they want to talk on the phone. We don't talk on the phone. Like, I tell people all the time, you want to communicate? They're like, what's the easiest way to get you? Phones don't ring in this building. Verizon doesn't punch through here. There's not a phone line in the shop.
AT&T does so.
If you want to fucking talk to me and have a surefire way to get a hold of me, it's Facebook Messenger. Yep. Dude's like, I'm not using Facebook. Most of those dudes is because their wife cheated on them or they got caught fucking around. That's why they got those joint accounts. Make a fake account. Like, for real. There are a ton of dudes, tons of our customers who have made a fake account, because if you want to see what we have offered, we post it on MeWe first, then we post it on Instagram, then we post it on Facebook. By the time you see an email or you happen to catch it, like, that shit's long fucking gone. I posted all my photos last night to Facebook at about 5, well, when we finished the podcast, so about 6:30 probably.
6:30, yeah.
Between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, sales jumped fucking $4,000 last night because I showed the shit we had immediately available. By 9 o'clock, dudes were emailing me going, hey man, is this stuff really sold out? Yeah, it's real. That's really sold out. We're on your favorites on the taskbar. That's awesome, man. That's fucking cool. You were taking something personal that was not meant to be personal. That was a chance just to educate other people. Like my lawyer says all the time. He has 2 boys that are now both adults. They've both recently turned 18, 21. He said there's like your permanent record. He said anything. I always drilled into my kids when the internet started with social media. Anything you put on social media is always a permanent record. He wins so many fucking divorce cases and so many child support cases and so many business cases because of dumb motherfuckers putting shit on social media. I say that as a dude prior to social media used to constantly joke. We would constantly joke, oh, the phone lines are tapped. This is tapped. That's tapped. They're listening to us. And they really were listening to us. When they came and fucking raided us and they grabbed Jeff up, they wanted to know about my dead girlfriends. I didn't have any fucking dead girlfriends. I never even had any domestic shit. Literally all fucking we would joke about. I'm like, haha, bitch, you better get over there and fucking clean that shit up or I'm going to bury you in the fucking desert next to my last girlfriend. It was a joke.
Which is a statement of a previous statement, so it's not a new statement, so don't use that for the warrant, guys.
But that's the point. Like, anything you say jokingly or like dudes commenting on social media like, I'm just going to bury my guns and I'm just going to fucking boating accident. I get it, guys. But when they come fucking knocking and you say that and they have that fucking printout, do you think they're not going to fucking burn your house down? If it comes to where they're kicking your door in, do you really think they're not going to fucking come in with guns? They were in my shop when they executed the federal search warrant at 7 o'clock in the morning with just me in the building and 2 NCIS agents. They had me generate a quote for 60 fucking holsters for SIG 228s. Any time, they could have fucking, hey, we have to execute a warrant. We need you to sit down, put these handcuffs on.
Did you hold them to the... Oh, it was a quote. That would have been awesome if you'd have made them...
The point is...
made them buy those
the
holsters.
point is, they came back an hour later with a raid team when all my employees were there, came in and flashbanged my shop and batter rammed the door and machine guns. Do you think if you fucking say some silly shit that everybody takes, we all say silly shit. We all take it as a joke. When it comes time to kick those doors in, do you think they're not going to burn your fucking house down?
They'll just use whatever you said out of context to generate the warrant to get into your house.
100%.
That's
That's my point to that.
And it's all on, and especially when you're talking to your spouses or anybody, whether it's a fucking PM or a text message or what, that stuff never goes away. And
even when you think it goes away,
you think about. It started with companies, so think about all the companies now. That there is a bunch of companies now that you have to give them access to your Facebook page prior to you being hired, so they get to go through your Facebook page and see if there's anything on there that is not within the company standards. Right now, they're talking about doing the same thing with firearm purchases, where you have to give them access to your Facebook page so they can decide what is suitable for a firearms purchase.
At their discretion.
Yeah, it's going to be at their discretion. So
and interpretation.
All those boat, all the boat memes, I'm probably guilty of putting them up too. All the boat memes, that's just a reason for them to go, oh, this guy is specifically saying he's going to hide his firearms from the government when the government wants to take them. So we're not going to approve his firearms purchase. So, I mean, just things to think about. I don't think it's as bad. I don't think it's as bad for us old guys because I am still under the impression and still have the idea that, when some fucking snowflake is yelling at me about something, there's no reason to just say, fuck off, you do not matter, you are insignificant. But in the future, who you are is going to be based off of your social media presence. They already have an algorithm in China.
Can't fly, can't take the train.
But it creates social media currency. Not spendable currency. But what you can do within the China infrastructure is totally based off of your social media presence. So, the future is going to be an interesting place. It'll be interesting.
There's movies about it. Future Crimes.
Yeah.
Future Crimes Division. Think about right now. Think about these politicians that did blackface, right? Their careers are being changed right now over something they did, 20 years ago?
Longer than that, probably.
30 years ago? And they're in college, right? It was acceptable then. They were doing it on national television. You saw it. Yeah, it was still taboo, but they were fucking doing it. Right now, people are losing careers over it. And I'm like, and dude's like, well, that was a terrible thing. In 30 years, gun ownership might be illegal, and they're going back and seeing that, and there's going to be some question. And when they start doing gun confiscations and gun bans, and you fucking buried your guns or hidden your guns or got rid of your whatever it is, right? 30 years from now, when they start fucking looking further into that, or it comes time to get a fucking pension or some retirement, or when your kids are looking to get into college and they start going back through fucking grandpa's fucking social media Facebook page, hey, where'd these guns go? Like, those questions might come up 30 years from now based off the silly shit we are saying. Just because it's okay and acceptable today, that doesn't mean it won't be illegal and punishable in the future. It's happening right now, guys. It's happening.
That's why the NSA is storing all the information. They're not storing the information because they're not storing all the information because they want to prevent a terrorist attack. That's a fucking lie. They're storing all the information because they don't have the capability to source through all the information right now.
They're going to go back and...
So when AI kicks in and they have the AI capability to start going through all that data, I guarantee you, in I'll bet 5 years, you'll see that they're going to start arresting people for things that are happening now that you're like, that's not a big deal. How is that even a big deal? But it's going to be a big deal in the future, especially if you let the Democrats take over.
You know they're arresting guys right now for firearms like, okay, I can't legally own a firearm, right? They are arresting dudes for possession of firearms, even though they didn't catch them with the firearms. They went through their internet history and saw them looking at magazine and ammunition suppliers. And then they got a fucking warrant to subpoena the fucking emails, and they found that they had bought ammunition. Boom, arrested, even though they didn't find the gun. Most of the time they do find the gun, though. But just off of that fucking email trail, there are dudes in prison over that. In the future, when shit's illegal, there's a record of it right now.
Yep.
Like, it's happening, guys. You're right. I've just recently heard of you guys and haven't purchased anything yet, but love your YouTube channel and what I've seen on the website and been hearing you make pretty good shit. And again, William Shelton. That's not an attack on you, man. That's for the other 5,000 people that are going to watch this video over the next 30 days. Matthew Knight. A few podcasts ago, you were talking about cameras on police cars. The body cameras Atlanta Police uses can be watched live by their superiors even when it's not recording. There is a buffering mode in which a lot of officers think it is off. It's never off, and you should always operate as though everything you say, like a conversation Jeff and I have saying whatever it is, you should always operate under the assumption at this point that you can be listened to. If you've got a computer sitting there, a phone, anything. What did we talk about? What was it? Gene Simmons. On the podcast the other day, before the podcast loaded, Jeff told me about Gene Simmons and a spark from Pyrotechnics caught his wig, and they came out and cleaned it up and fucking put him out, and he didn't miss a lick, right? He's still playing guitar or whatever. When I walked outside to check my emails, when I went back to my desk and clicked on refresh on Facebook, a video of that came up. We had not even published that podcast. It's not like one of you guys heard it and then tagged me in it. That evening, an hour after we had the conversation, because the phone is listening to it. And we just had this conversation a few minutes ago before we came in here. I was telling Jeff that, and he's like, that's weird because in theory, they do it to push advertising to market to you. But in reality, they are changing your reality. Whatever you talk about is going to be pushed to you if it has some kind of agenda or some kind of advantage to them. Who is the puppet master pushing the algorithm?
Unfortunately, it's a fucking computer algorithm. It's an AI machine. It's kind of like when what's that thing you do? It's not Facebook. It's not 180 characters or less.
Twitter.
So 140 characters less. Twitter's a good example. Joe Rogan just had the CEO of Twitter on there, and he's talking about, what constitutes, what do you have to do to get banned? Why are certain people getting banned? And the truth be told, that these animals like Twitter and Facebook, it was the same thing that happened to Zuckerberg when he went in front of Congress. These animals have gotten so big, so fucking big, that the people who own them have no idea how they are functioning. He had no idea how Alex Jones got banned. He could not say, this is why Alex Jones got banned. Now, I'm realistic. I understand that a company as big as that, there is no fucking way the CEO knows anything relative to what is going on in that company. I'm realistic about that. It's like, example, Facebook. Facebook has a fucking building in the Philippines that has 100,000 employees in it. And all they do all day is decide whether or not what you are looking at is within the guidelines or without the guidelines.
And if you get a 30-day block or not, that comes from that same building.
That's all they do all day is decide who gets blocked and who gets banned. And from their mouths, They're not looking at
Interview on 2020.
Yeah, they're not looking at guidelines. They're not looking at the company guidelines and going, all right, this is legit. We're going to let this stay. This is not legit. We're going to ban this. They're using their own, what they feel should be banned and what they feel should not be banned. Zuckerberg don't know.
When asked what the guidelines were, she said that she goes off the church.
Well, her thing was the person they were interviewing, she said, I don't let anything through that I wouldn't want my children to see. So that's just one person, right? That's just one person out of 100,000, and I guarantee you they probably have 4 or 5 of those buildings. It's the same thing with Twitter. There's not 12 guys in a room going, do we ban Alex Jones? What do you think, guys? They're not doing that. It's a fucking algorithm. It identifies something that they say is bad, and then it goes to one dude in a cubicle who goes, yeah, fuck Alex Jones, boom, or whoever.
Or whatever chick's having a bad morning that morning.
Yeah, whatever. So it's just interesting when people think that somehow that some fucking CEO has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in a billion-dollar company. They got fucking no idea.
At 6 o'clock this morning, I got a notification from Facebook that one of my ads had been denied. An ad, keep in mind now, it was denied because it had adult language, foul language. Basically, it said that I had cussing in the ad.
What ad?
Exactly. I'm like, what ad? I don't have an ad running right now. So I look at it. It was an ad from July 28th for vehicle med bags. And all it said was, what kind of medical equipment do you carry in your vehicle? And it had a picture. It said, we have these vehicle med bags available right now. If you place an order, they will ship tomorrow. That was the whole entire ad. They denied it this morning at 6 o'clock. Keep in mind, the ad had been up and running and charging me all the way from December 28th. They just now, after the ad had been approved and run all this time, this morning at 6 o'clock, they kicked the ad out, canceled the ad for the reason of cussing and foul language. There was no foul language. There was nothing in the ad.
Was there a picture of the label?
I have no picture of the label. As a
No.
matter of fact, I will put screenshots up on our closed group. I have photos of it. Let me show you.
Because that's the only thing I could think is maybe
And the crazy thing is, once you accept it or close it, you can't see it anymore. There's no proof of it. It just fucking evaporates like a fart in the wind. So, gallery right here. Let me go into camera.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just they're
Dude,
just using
I don't have it. Here it is. Screenshots.
computer algorithms to make these decisions.
So this ad isn't running because it uses profanity, implied profanity, or insulting language.
What is implied
Now,
profanity?
this is an ad that's been running, and has been clicked on 3,080 times because of my ad, and I have been. There's some math in here which shows 22,000 people is the potential. 22 million is the potential audience. I use keywords Tacoma, overlanding, Toyota Tundra, off-road vehicles, and off. So I build. If you guys don't know how targeted marketing works, you build audiences. I can build one on tactical gear. I can build one on overlanding. I can build one for Toyota owners. Different markets, right? So that is the picture.
It doesn't even show the label.
And here it says SOE vehicle med bags online and ready to ship. And it's a picture of red vehicle med bags. Those are the only words on the whole entire thing. Location, no tags. February 19th is the date on this shot. Fucking crazy, right?
Yeah, you should. Are you gonna?
You can't. There is no way to. Do you want to dispute this? Do you want to have it reviewed? Not an option. They just canceled the ad.
That's how they're doing it. That's how they're doing it.
And you have no recourse.
Yeah, you have no recourse. There's no justice in the new internet world. Unless you are a SJW, then you get all the justice you want.
What's that? Social justice warrior?
Yeah.
The Murgatroyd. Do the next video on your chest rigs and the Birdwatcher bag. Got my coworker hooked on the podcast. After the first episode, he said, They are some salty motherfuckers. Haha. I told him just to keep listening.
Where's the bird? What is the bird watcher bag?
That's the first fupa I made. Remember, it was a little bit bigger.
Oh. Okay.
What you guys said about religion, wow, my thoughts exactly, Marshall says. And again, the very last comment on this is Daniel Marshall. Also, what you say about the Accuracy International L96, you will find many friends in Britain.
I can't say enough for that. The Arctic Warfare and the L96. I think the Arctic Warfare was the iteration that came after the L96. That's a chassis gun.
It had something different with the firing pin because of freezing, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a chassis gun. And they were using chassis guns in the fucking 90s, man. When we here in America were still using fiberglass stocks. I mean, you think about it.
They were still betting them.
We've had a chassis gun now for I think about 5 years. And I would put the fucking Arctic Warfare up against that chassis gun any day of the week. This is how ridiculous government contracting is. We're using the magazines from the Arctic Warfare guns. That's what we're using, the magazines, but we had to somehow buy this fucking monstrosity of a fucking sniper rifle.
It gives out of Quantico?
Yeah. They're actually not.
They're not making them.
They're making them, but it's because it's a chassis gun. There's not really a lot to do to it. It's just
to keep that MOS alive. Why don't they just buy it out of the box?
Because they do all kinds of. I think the sniper program is, for the Marine Corps, or for the what do they call them now? It's not RW. It's not the RT shop anymore. It's something else. But the Marine Corps, the sniper side of the house is kind of like the Prestige. It's kind of like, hey, look, this is our Ferrari over here. But they do a ton of other shit that have nothing to do with the sniper program. Right. And so it's kind of just like the ring they put out there. Like, hey, you want to come see fucking all the sniper rifles we've ever had? Here, kiss the ring. So we just started using a chassis weapon system. The problem is when especially the Marine Corps, a lot of this stuff doesn't get thought through very well. So we have had, and I know all my fucking 0317s are going to be like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. We've had three iterations of fucking sniper rifles in the past 10 years. And we haven't increased the effectiveness of the weapon system at all. The still requirement for that weapon system is a minute of angle, which is ridiculous. If you're out there in the
shit coming out of the box from
if you're out there in the real world, we can fucking make minute of angle guns in your yard. Now, not saying that these chassis guns shoot minute of angle. A lot of them shoot very, very fucking well, but that's not the standard. The standard is a minute of angle, and because that's the standard, then yeah, you got some of those chassis guns that I guarantee you are shooting, sub quarter minute of angle. But the standard is minute of angle, meaning when they put that brand new, I can't even imagine how much this fucking new sniper rifle costs, in that chassis, and they fire it, if it's within a minute of angle, good to go, man. Pull it out, send it out to the fleet.
It's the requirement.
Yeah, so the requirement is the requirement is boo-boo, because you have the same requirement. They have the same requirement for their sniper rifle that the Marine Corps had in 1976 when it had adopted the M40 sniper rifle. Same requirement. They didn't change the requirement. They're just buying new gadgets. What the Marine Corps tends to do is get some lipstick and shit, and they put it. They just lipstick on here. Oh man, look how cool that thing looks. That thing looks cool. It doesn't matter that you haven't increased the capability of the weapon system at all. It's why it's why you got a bunch of guys running around like, let's get the Mark 13. Let's get the Mark 13. Well, you're going to have the same. I guarantee you, the Marine Corps is going to. Well, first off, they always do this. They bought the fucking cart before they even bought any horses, so there's no ammunition for the Mark 13 in the system. Very little, meaning nobody's really training with that system. Second, once you mass produce, here's the thing: once you start mass producing any semi-automatic rifle, mass producing it, you lose the accuracy that you got from the fucking system when they brought the one accurate one that they just fucking put together out to Quantico and said, hey, shoot this one. This one is the shit.
Or the one accurate out of 1,000.
And then the Marine Corps buys off on it. And then what they do is they do what any other company does. They bring in 42 Mexicans and they just start slapping those bitches together. Boom, boom. Here you go, buddy. Take it out there. So, and that gun too, even though it's 300 Win Mag, it's still only required to shoot a minute of angle, which, once again, think about if minute of angle gets bigger and bigger the further you shoot. So, I don't know. The L96 was way ahead of it. That Arctic Warfare rifle system was way ahead of its fucking time, and I still think, I have not shot one. I've not shot one in a long, long time. I only know one of my buddies that has one, and every time I see him, I'm like, how much? How much, man? Come on, let's break it down. You don't ever shoot it anymore. You're too fat. I need that rifle. But I would put that L96 up against any fucking rifle that we're churning out now. The fucking Remington Defense $20,000 rifle. Fucking Arctic Warfare will outshoot that goddamn thing. They're just better guns. The way they did it was smart. As far as how they put it together and getting the God, what is that? What's that called? What's that thing they do in the Olympics with? Biathlon. So they actually had an Olympic biathlon medalist help design that fucking rifle. So it's comfortable in all kinds of different shooting positions. But man, when you're in the prone and you got a laser rangefinder, it's a damn tack driver. It's hitting what it's fucking pointed at. So in that respect, the British got it easy, man, because they got a good gun. The M40's a good gun, but it's just not basically what we did in the military, or we did here in the United States, is we took a hunting rifle, because that's what we were using in Vietnam. Believe it or not, they were just fucking buying those things. They were going to Okinawa and buying them in the PX and taking them to Vietnam. So we were using hunting rifles. We took a hunting rifle and we turned it into kind of a sniper rifle that didn't really work as good as it should have. I mean, at the time, I will say this, at the time, 1976, when the M40A1s were first being put together, here in the United States, that was the best technology that we had.
But the fucking Germans in World War II already had a fucking an adjustable fucking optic and a claw mount that would re-zero.
That was the best fucking system we had. So
that blew my mind when we went to James's boy's house. There had all the bars on the window, and he had World War II guns that would hold zero when you fucking took them out and took the optics off. I'm like, what are you saying? This is 60 years old and does this shit? We just heard about this in the United States.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I love that rifle. Don't get me wrong. I have an M40A1, A5 and A4 and an A6. They're great rifles, but if I had an L90, if I had the Arctic Warfare, I would shoot it against any of those guns and not even be worried about it, really. Anyways, that's my Arctic Warfare thing. I'm sorry, Marines, if you think you got the best rifle. You do, because you're Marines. It's about the operator. It's not about the fucking weapon system. But the L96 is better.
What you're saying is on par with showing up for the tech inspection at the Baja fucking 500 or 1000 with a Razor with some fucking tires that came on the Razor. Can you pass tech inspection? Of course, yeah. You won't get fucking 5 miles. If you're not there to fucking win, you're in the way. Why are you fucking bothering? If you know something's not the best or there's some advantage to be had, it's just like people in business. Because we're all talking about the 1% of the top people in business. You know why we're talking about them? Because they do what all the rest of us fucking don't do. If you want to be the best, do what the fucking best does. Otherwise, you're in the way, and go get a normal fucking job.
Well, that means we're not going to take the Groms down to the fucking Baja.
Because
the Groms will be in the way.
We're going to take the Groms down there for the pit.
No, man.
The Groms are just there to run back and forth to the trophy
We got to be
trucks.
the first group to have the Groms make it through the Baja 1000.
That's a little different.
Grom, can you do it? Send us some fucking
Honda.
sponsorship.
Honda.
Send us some sponsorship. We want to run the Groms through
And
the Baja
BFG.
1000.
BFG, because you guys have the program. BFG come out with a Grom tire. All right, turn that shit off.